What's up, everybody? It's your favorite paycheck's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Takara Tomy MP-44. This is on loan to me from Mike E. He also sent something else that I don't really care about, but he thought you guys would, so I'm gonna take a look at that as well here shortly. Gotta be honest with you, not having the best day. The responsible choice would be for me to put this review off for a few days until I'm having a better day. But I know you guys want to see this, you want my opinion on it, and you should know that I'm not really known for responsible decisions. Therefore, we'll take the two of those, add them together, and review this today, and we'll start with accessories. So, we'll start with the characters, and this is Carly, is that her name? I can't remember. This is actually one of the better kind of sculpts I've seen, and they're kind of fair across the board. There's nothing special here, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times the faces just look kind of nondescript. This has sculpt in the face, they're just not painted in the face. Let me see if I can get you in there. It might be, but you see, there's eyes and a nose. There actually is care there. There's also paint on the hair and the headband, or it might be the face and the headband. Let me see if I can get this little head off here. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the face and the headband. And then we have at least two different paint apps on the upper chest, one on the lower, and then we have the socks that are painted on, and then the shoes that are painted on, the hands that are painted on. Ball pegs for shoulders, they get you out to there and around. Ball peg on the head, that gets you, right? Isn't it? Maybe it's, yeah, it is. Gets you a little bit of swivel up and down, etc. So they're pretty articulated. You got a ball peg in the center of the body, which is fine. It gets you a swivel. And it's like a slight swivel, like ever so slight, and then a little bit of down and back, and then you have ball pegs for the hips, get you out a bit, and forward and back, and a knee hinge that gets you almost the full run. So they're all pretty articulated. Spike and Sparkplug are kind of the same, you know. Obviously, it's a male torso. There is gappiness where that ball peg sits in the center, and it might even be a double ball. No, it's a single. Which is a little strange, to say the least. But the articulation's pretty much the same, and there's no stone left unturned in regards to paint. And the sculpts on the faces, I just want to really drive that home, are better than they used to be. They're better than normal. This is, this is not going to set the world on fire here, right? This sort of thing. But it is an improvement from what we're used to. It's also interesting, I guess, it's for the gimmick of it, but it's interesting that they went for this while of doing the non-posable kind of statue-esque human figures, with tracks and so forth. So it's interesting to see a return to them. And the big payoff of all that articulation, I'll tell you, these things pop apart at the drop of a dime. I've had Carly pop apart a whole bunch of times. I just worked that leg out. This is junk. It really is. And it's a small thing, and it doesn't mean that the figure's not worth it before people start getting all upset. I'll let you know about that towards the end. But this is still pretty terrible stuff. Now this leg is coming out, so whatever. We're not going to go through it too much. But he fits up in there. If you care, good to go. They also can sit in the cockpit of this piece. They can sit inside the trailer at the little stations, as well as the front and back seats of Roller. Another character he comes with is Roller. Nice gray silver paint job on it. Looks good. You have the red translucent sort of siren thing up there. And then, all the seats, the wheels, hubcaps are painted silver. We have the red translucent there at the front. Decent sculpt work, so on and so forth. You can also bend this piece around and flip this up for some additional features that we'll get to later. And you can have a bit of a look under the hood at some of the nuts and bolts of what makes Roller tick. So pretty well done. And using that same connection port, Roller can also tow the trailer. And with the trailer in base mode, you can take Roller and slide him back and secure him into the back of the other piece, or the front of the other piece rather. You get an alternate head that's supposed to be the quote-unquote round head as described in the instructions. The ears are a bit rounded as well, which I'm not crazy about that, honestly. It's it doesn't look right. I feel like they should be straight, and some of this stuff, just to give you guys fair warning, might seem nitpicky to you, but it's a significant price, right? So we need to approach it as such. I've criticized Hot Toys stitching size, and that's half the price almost of these. So we just got to go through the motions. I do like the paint apps on it, and I do like the sculpt work on it. I think I actually prefer this sculpt over the one that comes standard on the head, but maybe we'll take a look at that in a bit. He comes with the never face, and it's all chewed up on the faceplate and on the brim of the helmet there, a couple holes along the side. This is really well done. And the bend in the ears, like this is a delicate thing, right? So the fact that they have the bend in these little delicate pieces and they feel fairly stable, I mean, I wouldn't press your luck, so to speak, but I find that impressive. Just that they don't feel fragile and they got the kind of sculpt correct. Now, to go along with the battle damaged head, you get the battle damaged part where, you know, the little bit was thrown in his side. Once again, sculpted nice enough. I like all the kind of detail down in there, like the screws and springs and all that kind of stuff, and it's all painted the kind of same hue of silver. Simply pull the head away, insert the new one. That will peg on to that slot right there for the damaged look, which can be seen here. Now, you also get a Starscream head. Nice paint on the face. It's metallic and it's breathtaking. The eyes as well. And the sculpt is on the money. Look, I would say, if I was a betting man, that this means you're getting Takara Seekers 2.0 or 3.0, I suppose, that this is coming. I would just go ahead and prepare yourselves. I can't see it going any other way. I would imagine that that's going to happen. And just in case you were curious, if you pop the head off of your Make Toys one and sit that head just on it, you know, like it kind of works. So if you bought this, you can kind of get a double bang for your buck there if you have this figure as well. You also get the kind of signature Starscream shoulder crests, which are nice, look good, they're sculpted well. Clean. To do the Starscream bits, you did the head the same way. You take the backpack away, and then you insert this onto this rail, and then close it back up. The head popped off, but you get the point. You get the jetpack, nice paint on the unit, nice sculpt. The vent, I love this little effect here, especially with the little line grooves behind the vent. It looks nice. And then on the inside it has the gray plastic, but it looks good, and it's like a metallic flecked, almost gray plastic. It really does, like it's a well-presented thing. If you take your jetpack, you have your little jets plugged into them. If you fold down this red piece here, and then down once again this red tab, it will tab directly into the trailer, and now the trailer can take off. The jetpack can be utilized by clipping in right behind the grill and then coming around the back of the figure for the full jetpack look. You get his battle axe. It's actually nicer than normal, in my opinion, because the extra details in it bring out this extra level of translucent that's like sharp around the edges and so forth. I think it makes it look far more visually interesting than what it normally does. So that's a nice feature. For the axe, you actually pull the hand off and attach the axe by clipping this onto it. And the nice thing is the axe rotates. It's not the best connection though, to be honest with you. But it rotates on that hinge, which is a nice touch. Let me see if I do it the other way, if that's not better. No, it's not. So, yeah, but it is nice. It is nice that it hinges inside, that they work that out. I think it'll be great for a pose. And it's not like it's coming off or anything. I'll just say that and then it does. That's my luck. But once you get it kind of sorted, it's fine. You get his signature ion cannon. Is that what it is? I think so. With the breakup here in color at the butt of it, so to speak, and a decent enough sculpt. It does transform for the sake of storage and so forth. And I'll be honest with you, that kind of stuff is a bit of a turn-off to me because it does break up the sculpt, but this doesn't do it too terribly bad. But you just wrap it around on itself, it returns it on itself, and then you can flip that down and have a more compact version of it. Now, there's a little T-member right here. If you take the gun and line up this groove, you can slide it into that, and now you have it stored and it's secured. You can utilize that same method in robot mode too, if you'd like. The gun can also fit onto roller so that he can carry that around and be of some worth or value. He'll hold that gun just fine using the typical Masterpiece plug-in system. Using those two slots and these two pegs, you can also store the rifle on his back. Speaking of translucent pieces, you get these two done pretty much in the same style. Also have those extra little breakups of translucent line work that ends up coming through and looks nice. They'll plug into your jetpack and they'll plug into your blaster. He also comes with this little doodad here. We got a nice kind of gunmetal finish on these two bits and really nice and intricate sculpt work on them. And then you have the hose that connects the two. You can put these two together by sort of just inserting this peg into these square bits is what like I'm imagining. It's not super clear in the instructions and it's not a great fit, but it does look like you can do it. Once that's done, you can plug it into roller. You can plug each separately into roller and can also be stored inside the trailer in those two peg holes. He also comes with a translucent adapter. This is to utilize the display base, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. To attach it, you just find the grooved area and slide it up into these channels on the back. And then you attach it to the base. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with the display stand to put them in. With all that money attached to the price tag, I find that unforgivable. He also comes with a matrix. I love the way they did the actual kind of gem in the middle. It's like textured. It's not like a translucent and then it has a metallic kind of paint covering on it. It's a different way of doing it. And then the nice gold kind of chrome around it and then the regular chrome. And then I like how, you know, it all kind of closes up, you know, similarly to the movie. So it has one of that. You have to have it, right? If it's Optimus, that's the rules. Then you've got this thing, which is the most complicated this thing has ever been, for better or worse. That's sort of up to you. We'll try to talk about all of the features as best we can. It's a lot to kind of go over. So we'll start here. This is it in its kind of resting natural state. You can undo this tab here in the back. That will allow you to sort of pull up on this entire thing, he says, and separate it from this piece. Once you've done so, you can flip this piece down, and then this will plug in to roller. And you can have this look and do all of the features that this can do that we'll go over when we get it back combined. Another feature that this has is this part will flip out, and once it is flipped out, using a groove system, it can connect to roller and be kind of a trailer for roller. So that's two different ways to kind of integrate this into roller, and it acts as a trailer, moves all the way around, all that kind of stuff. And then all of the features that this can do as a kind of extending piece and all that are still viable in this sort of configuration. Now we can kind of get into the nuts and bolts of this guy. So these arms extend, turn around, this opens here on a hinge, this hinges, it swivels at the base here and hinges at the base. So kind of normal standard operating procedures there. These things will extend, the laser cannons on the sides. We have a translucent piece here that, as we've shown, opens up to reveal a cockpit. Tons of sculpted details, no sort of accents in terms of deco. That will close down. Then we have the sort of radar. That will spin here and hinge. So no issues there. Silver paint on the hubcap, silver paint here at the front. And then we have this whole thing, which extends and locks. I think that's a lock. Yes. And then you can collapse it. Pretty cool. It also has this feature where the wheels will come down. And these pieces actually flip down as well. Let me show you how some of this operates. So with these bits down, you kind of put them in the wider sections and then slide forward to lock it into position. And the trailer. So there's a lot to talk about here. The trailer, for one, has these two pieces that come down. They can also flip up. It also has these legs that'll come out to the side, and then the feet will kind of shift up and down ever so slightly, I feel like. Oh no, they just naturally come down as you extend. So that's a nice feature as well. See that? That's pretty cool. You have the spare tire underneath, which is a nice touch as well. Nice clean paint, sharp, not as intricate of a paint job as MP10, but it's not trying to be. We have the brake lights in the back with the red translucent, that looks good as well. Chrome hubcaps, that matches Optimus, that's gonna look good as well. And of course, it has all sorts of features. So these back doors open up. That can put your cars inside, and just to prove the point, we'll use our old trusted friend Tiger Tracks. There he goes inside, no problem. We have the ramp that'll come out and down. Tons of sculpted detail and additional paint, and Tiger Tracks can drive up and down that as well. But because of the bump here, you kind of gotta go around it, which is not a big deal, right? Okay, so we're gonna open this up, and we're gonna go piece by piece. The extending struts will support the weight of the sides of the trailer. The rear doors will fold down both for deco, and the ramp will complete the back of the look. Elements of the interior floor are magnetized so that your human characters will stick there with no problem. So that in the end, you get something close to this configuration right here. Now, on each side of the trailer, you can take these flaps and fold them in. It's not a nice feeling, but you can do it. And close it up so that this now sits at the top outside, ready for combat. And to give you an idea what that armature will look like to get in that position, it's about like that. With this piece fully extended out, you can fold these doors out so that you're looking, it's like the opposite way that you did the other ones, and then fold this up, and now you can have this guy sort of up here, sort of messing around, doing what he's got to do, if you're into that look. And according to the instructions, you can even have it doing this. Lastly, if you have the trailer standing up, you can open the sides of it, flip these pieces down, unpeg the kind of gun, for lack of a better term, tip of your hose. At that point, you got this open port, you might as well plug in the rifle. And you have this look, which is also cool. And you can kind of connect your people. That's magnetized up at the top there too, and then down there at the bottom. So with most of your accessories stored inside of the trailer, you can take your remaining ones and plug the two cannons here, the red piece here, the axe here. This is the only one that doesn't fit quite right. And then the two heads plugged in here. Unless I'm doing something wrong, which is quite possible. This is the red translucent pieces of the back bumper of the trailer. You can take this, line it up, and plug it in. And that will store the rest of the components, which is really a nice touch. All right, so let's talk about the alt mode. Rolls like a champ, looks nice, right? It looks clean. Very panely though, if you look any closer at it really. That's a matter of kind of how you feel about that stuff, if that's a reasonable sacrifice for you. Rolls well, the truck will bend, the cab will bend, and the trailer will kind of come around on it. The trailer swivels at this point in order to sort of make it, but it only goes to about 15 degrees. So you won't be able to get kind of a 90-degree turn out of it naturally, which is fine, not the biggest deal in the world, but it's something worth noting. And I mean, that's about it, right? So let's get rid of the trailer for the sake of talking about the truck mode. And no gray stripe, right? So many people have been waiting kind of for that to happen. And the good news is it has happened. Smokestacks are in chrome, chrome hubcaps, chrome fuel tanks, chrome grille, chrome bumper, chrome headlights, chrome side mirrors, blue translucent windows with something behind it where you don't see all the bits on the inside. That's a nice touch. The marker lights are painted. You have the turn signals down here that are translucent. It's nice. You got the Autobot symbol here that comes through. So this is something that we got to talk about. It's something I've been noticing with the car a lot recently. You hear this, all of their stuff is starting to feel this way, where stuff doesn't really feel like 100% put together, 100% locked in, and kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. If you've bought anything kind of since Inferno, maybe even Ironhide, whatever came first, I feel like that's when I really started to notice it. But I'm not crazy about it. But overall, I think it looks good. I think it's a good looking truck. I don't have any issues with it. I think it looks nice. The windshield wipers aren't painted because they're going for that super tuned look. And if you want red windshield wipers on your truck, then the good news is they've done it for you. They've scratched that itch for you. There it is underneath. There it is from the back. We have the brake lights and turn signals, as well as some nice little chrome stuff back there, or silver. Is that silver paint, it looks like? But yeah, I think it's clean. I think it's sharp. Let's compare it real quick with Tiger Tracks so you can get an idea. And I also want to compare it with MP-10. So, I mean, relatively close in size. This one's a little, maybe a little stealthier. No, I'd say they're pretty comparable. So, you know, a couple things to kind of point out. I mean, like the bumper on this one sticks up a little higher. This one rides down a little lower. These has the smokestacks that are kind of, you know, more extended than this. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I don't think this is a huge improvement over this in truck mode, but I think that this pretty much gets the truck mode pretty close to being perfect, the gray stripe excluded. You know, it's kind of right, and this is even looks better than this, right? I mean, this looks like a disaster, but to be fair, a lot of trucks look like a disaster on the back, a lot of the cabs. And then underneath, not that you're ever looking at it from underneath, I feel like this kind of does a better job in that regard as well, but that's not a big deal either. I'll tell you, this thing is like popping out. And this was Mike's, and he did transform it, and maybe he didn't get it all the way back. And I'm definitely not transforming this thing more than once. So I'm going to comment on kind of how it is as a user-friendly element of transforming it for the first time. But let's look at them with trailers. I mean, they're pretty similar. You know, like the MP-44 is longer. They're about the same height. The MP-10 is slightly taller. They're about the same width. I'll tell you, like, I do like the deco on the trailer of MP-10 better, but it's not tune accurate, right? So I get why they made the decisions they made. It's the same reason why I like the deco on the cab better on MP-10, but once again, not the same deco, right? So I get it, I understand it. It's just gonna come down to preference in that regard, which is pretty much how I view the alt mode overall. It's good. Deco-wise, it's a matter of preference. So here we go, moment of truth, right? Jesus, take the wheel. All right. We got to take this piece off here, this side thing. This will come all the way down to the base of the wheels. Take what is perpendicular and make it parallel. Bring your fuel cap around to the other side. Fold this part of the door back onto itself, and then fold this back around onto itself. Fold the red piece down, fold the blue piece down, and shake it all around. And then fold this back down against the wheels again. Break the connection here. Fold this piece down by the wheels. Make what is perpendicular parallel. Bring the fuel cap around, which is a little tricky for me for whatever reason, onto this side. Fold the door back onto itself. Fold the door back onto itself again. Fold the red piece around, fold the blue piece around, shake it all around with the clowns from out of town, and then wrap it back onto itself. Split the legs, get you some wiggle room. The section that's connected to this faux fuel canister, break away from the leg and fold it down. Take this piece here and fold it up. And then spin this until this section and this section meet and form up together. Here, take this piece down and plug it in, move your fake fuel tank around, and then fold it onto itself until that plugs in, and you can also rotate this bottom panel out so that this all lines up. Take this piece that plugged your trailer in, turn that around 180, open this up, and extend this leg, almost Combiner Wars style. There's a little tiny tab down here that you want to open up, and then you can flip this entire section around until it's straight, and that will plug into the side of the knee assembly, and then this will come back down on top. On the inside of the leg, rotate this entire section up so that it fits in line. These lines here will line up. It should be pretty intuitive. And then take all this nightmare that we put together, fold that in, peg it all in, it pegs in everywhere, and then fold this piece around, and you just have to fiddle with it until it gets all lined up. There it is. Then to get his foot, you fold his foot forward. You have to bring this tab around, and he has a nasty stress mark. He has this piece here that's scratching, And once you fold it around, there's a nasty stress mark I want to draw to his attention and yours right inside here. So just be mindful of that, Mike, in the future. And then fold this piece around. This piece folds in and then fills out the rest of the foot. One leg done. But we're not out of the woods yet. So we have to get this other section out. We have to bring this little tab up here on the inside, and then this will rotate around until these two sections meet. And meet. Then here, this piece comes down, the fuel tank spins around and folds in on itself. And then this section here folds out. And you probably want to do this actually before you fold all that around. Then bring this section up, turn the trailer connection 180 degrees, separate this and rotate it down, and then bring this panel around and tab it in. After that, we can pull this up. We got to slide this piece back so that this fills in that area and realigns. And then we fold this entire section in on itself and plug everything in and close this piece up once we make the clearance. My fuel canister came untabbed, but overall not too shabby, I'd say. Fold the foot down, fold this piece out. There's another stress mark right there. Same exact spot, different leg. Fold this piece around. This part of the bumper has to fold in on itself, and then you have two legs done. Fold his butt up, one turn, two turns. Release this top section of the cab. Pull the front bumper away. Once you've done so, you can fold these two pieces towards the front. Fold these two pieces up and over. We're kind of turning this into a bit of a box. Turn this piece up and over, double hinge, that'll tab in. And then you want to fold these bumper pieces towards you and these bumper pieces in to form the box. Flip up. Pull the arms out, as always, right? Always works. And then you got to kind of rotate the arms away from the center of the body of the cab. You want to lift these flaps here, sort of up and out of the way, and open up the chest piece. On the back side, release this box here. Right above the faux grille, the chunkier red blocks you need to pull out and away from this section here, which will allow you then to release this section with the faux grille on it and pull this block and chamber out. And then once you've done so, you can move this blue tab back against itself. Push the wheel down, fold it to the inside, making this nice and straight, and then rotate this piece up and then slide it in. Same for the other side. Wheel down, rotate to the inside, then maneuver the gray piece so that it lines up and slide it in. You can grab the bumper, rock this entire section back, flip that flap down around his neck, and as you do so, collapse the bumper in and around. God grief, I have a hard time with it, but it should stay towards the back of the body. Take these side panels, bring them up and over to be in line with sort of his neck area. You want to rotate the chest panels around. And these side pieces you can then bring up. What happened here? That one must have came undone. and go into place on both sides. Open this. Orient the legs properly now. Bring down the hip skirts, both on the sides and the back. And then on the front, you'll have to open up the windshield again. Bring the matrix up and put it into his chest. Then you can close these panels again. And then sit Prime into his natural position, finally. Bring your backpack up so that this piece fits into there, and then collapse the body into the chest cavity. Extend the bicep, try to start orienting your arm. You can close this up. You can take this panel, flip the hand out. This will come back around and close up, which leaves you with this one, which will extend and then close up around and clip in. We'll do the same on this side. Extend the bicep, fold this down, turn it, clean the bicep up, flip the hand around, close the panel up, hand out. This piece has a panel that flips out, fold it up, snap in. Collapse the shoulders inside of the body all the way and tuck the smokestack in. Inside of the body, tuck the smokestack in. I'll clean them up. We'll take a look at them. All right, let's talk about him. So the head is tricky. So it's on a hinge here at the base of the neck, and then it's on a ball peg that goes up into the head. Using both, you can get him all the way down and do like a looking down the chest pose. You can get him looking up, swivel. The swivel kind of, it tends to go up, but it's fine. It works fine. And then we have paint. This thing is covered in paint, okay? They spared no expense. It's covered in paint. We have all of the deco here, including the chrome and all sorts of paint on the chest. You get the waist swivel. You get an ab crunch. Over, back. You get a hinge down here at the bottom that turns him back and forth. It is a little awkward to kind of sit it back into the pelvis, but I get it. The shoulders, we have a hinge here inside the chest. We have an additional hinge at the shoulder. You can get 90 degrees out. You can get almost 90 degrees up. You also get the ratcheted swivel all the way around and a butterfly joint that gets the arm completely, basically in front of the chest. Do you know what I mean? And then it all tucks back in. Now, when it comes out, it doesn't look pretty, but I think it's more than a fair sacrifice to make for the range of motion. The bicep swivel, this one is loose. That's a bummer. Single hinged elbow that gets you way past 90 degrees. Wrist swivel, fingers on a base pin knuckle. The bottom three are connected. The index finger is individually articulated with a secondary pin at the second knuckle, which will allow you to point, which is nice. And then the thumb is on this hinge. They've been doing that. It's not my favorite, but it's there. And then you have all sorts of paint coverings, pretty much from head to toe. On this side, you have the same thing, except you have the Autobot Tampo, which looks great. And then you have, the red translucent down here, which is smart. You know, they gave it a little bit of flair. I dig that. Like, they could have just kept it red, and I don't think anybody would have said anything about it. I think it's a nice touch that they did it that way. Pelvis, he's got paint chipping. He says the paint chipping was not there before he transformed it. It's subtle, it's barely recognizable, honestly, but it is there. Hip skirts get up and out of the way. This one's spring-loaded, as is this one, so it'll go with the leg. These are all hinges back here. Ratcheted universal out to the side for the full Van Damme. Ratcheted universal forward and back for the full Monty. Somehow I have a feeling that we won't hear many complaints about those side-to-side ratchets, even though people have complained in the past. It's just my guess. We'll see how it turns out. Beautifully articulated, though. Then we have the thigh swivel, built around The thigh piece, that's the universal, I dig it. Smart and I like it. Covered in paint and beautiful sculpt work on it. Let's back the camera out a little bit. Looks tremendous. Moving down, double jointed knee, ratcheted, great range on that puppy. Looks good. The little panel here, how it covers down and all that, smart stuff. People said they had a lot of problems with the knees. I haven't encountered any issue. Not one. Not in transforming it, not in any regard. That is unless I don't have it transformed right. Is that gap supposed to be there? Maybe that gap's not supposed to be there? I don't know how it would collapse any further. That's a bit unsightly, but I didn't have any issue either way. And then we have the ankles. So we have an ankle tilt down, ratcheted, ankle tilt up, ratcheted, and then this part of the foot creates the ankle rocker. Works beautifully. No issues whatsoever. And then there it is from the back. I will back out a taste. It's well done. It's extremely well done. Size comparison wise, it's about the same size as the Magic Square. There they are next to each other. I didn't get the transform element because I didn't care for the way it looked. I think that this is more mature in terms of proportions. There's something about it, but I like the beefiness of this guy. This is a better thing. I can tell you right now, it's a better thing. And I like this better than Transform Element. So that should give you an idea of where I put things. But there's something more sophisticated about this, and I don't mean just the engineering. I mean something about the way that it presents, something about the proportions. The long legs, smaller upper body, less clumsy. There he is with a Masterpiece car and a Minibot. And lastly, there he is with Megatron, and I kind of wanted to like square up their bodies because like there is something a little svelty about this Prime. I can't quite put my finger on it, especially looking next to the Magic Square. Let me get the Magic Square back out so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm saying. I don't know. There's something about that I prefer in terms of the chest. I prefer this overall in terms of the like kind of the way it presents. It's almost like if I could drag, like, you know, like if you had Photoshop, like put the square around it and drag it up just slightly. I don't know. Worth noting to me. All right, final thoughts. So before we get started, I also want to note there are electronics associated with this. There's a button on the back that goes on and off, and then a button to press the sounds. The batteries aren't in it. I don't have the batteries, so we don't really have anything to go on, but it is there. Theoretically, it works just fine. That being said, let's talk about this. So the negatives, right? The negatives are, in my opinion, very few. There is some paint chipping. That's to be expected when you have something that's painted this well. Cost of doing business, sacrifice I'm willing to make. The small amounts of paint chipping, and I'm talking on this particular copy, extremely small and minor, is a small price to pay, ironically, for the overwhelming amount of paint that is flawless on this. I think it's unforgivable to not have that display stand included in this thing for the price. I have noticed a few stress marks, and also the fins on his ears, or his ears itself for lack of a better term, are very thin plastic and bow on all the heads, in my opinion. None of them look straight, which is aggravating. There's also an awkwardness to the way they did the waist articulation. You get tons of articulation out of it, but it is obnoxious to kind of like unplug it, move it around, jostle it back and forth, plug it in. There's also some loose joints, and then there's a natural tendency for this thing to come untabbed and kind of apart in both modes because there's so many moving pieces. Let's take us to the positives. Sculpt is beautiful. The paint is beautiful. The articulation is perfect. The materials feel good. Tons of hardware, an absurd amount of accessories, arguably too many. A good presence, not necessarily a super strong one though, which is a bummer, but a decent presence. Alt mode looks okay, but once again suffers from things coming kind of unstuck. But we gotta talk about this price. And this is where it all falls apart with me. And I don't care if you spent the $320 on Amazon with free shipping and a 20% coupon to Arby's, or if you bought it retail at Joe's Transformer shop in downtown Baltimore. It's too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. Now, value and worth is all ultimately in the eye of the beholder, but this doesn't feel anywhere close to that price point for me. I can honestly say that I think this is the best Optimus Prime available on the market, bar none. It trashes the Transform Element, it trashes the Magic Square, as I thought it probably would. And in the same breath, I wouldn't buy this for that much money if you handed the cash over to me yourself. It's just not worth it to me. I don't see the money in it. Robert D predicted that that I would have this exact feeling about it, and he was 100% correct. 200 tops, but I feel much more comfortable around 175, to be honest. Maybe even 150, but certainly 175, and I certainly would splurge at 200. There's been people saying, well, what about they release one without the accessories? Well, then that's not 200 again, is it? That's the problem. I don't see the value, but that's subjective. So take a look. If you think it looks like that price point to you, I can guarantee you you're going to be 100% happy. It's just not worth it to me. So I think it's the best Prime available by far, but I can't recommend it. But that's based on my own personal views on what something like this would ultimately be worth. Thanks to Mike for letting me take a look at it. Thanks for watching this long review. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.